So thank you, Lauren, for that question. In a word, yes, it is difficult at times not to take on the emotional baggage of the patient that you are working with. But in some ways, that's also one of the reasons that attracted me to general practice. So, as most of you know, I swapped from surgical specialty training to general practice specialty training. And that was because I felt that I wanted to get to know patients when they were well and go on a journey with them, as opposed to, obviously, most specialists will often only meet a patient when they have a significant health condition. And the lovely thing about general practice is you often get to see people at very happy times of their life, like when they've just had a new baby or they're embarking on a new relationship. And so you build up this rapport. I think dealing with emotions in the consultation is something that you learn with experience and time. And obviously I've been a doctor now for 24 years, so I've had quite a lot of practice, but that doesn't mean that I'm particularly great at shielding my emotions. Patients, I think, who are attracted to my way of practicing probably know that. They know I'm a bit of a heart on my sleeve kind of a girl. So although I'm often the person to break bad news to them or give them a difficult diagnosis, and obviously I'm prioritizing their feelings in that consultation, there will be times that I will get upset or feel tearful or choked up, especially whenever people get really upset during a consultation. It's hard not to be, because there's a lot of emotion in the room and there's a lot of emotions being transferred between everyone in the room. And I think that that's something that just takes time and experience. And I certainly think the first few years that I was a general practitioner, I probably went home really mentally drained and exhausted from every day. I think as time has gone on, I have got a little bit better at compartmentalizing some of that emotion and being able to go back home and be present for my family. It's one of the interesting things that psychologists, my understanding is here in Australia, they have compulsory professional sessions with another psychologist to debrief. And that's not something that is compulsory for doctors in Australia at all, but it's something that I think we should probably do, and not necessarily with a psychologist per se, but someone else to debrief, because the reality is that every day, most of the time when people are coming to see their doctor, it's because they're having a really difficult and challenging time, and hearing all of that emotion and all of that difficulty day in, day out can weigh heavily on you after a while. And so personally, I do go and chat through things with another professional, so that, we can just make sure to preserve my mental well-being and also know that I can continue to do my job to the best of my ability. I think the other thing that is always challenging as a doctor is that breaking bad news, particularly if you are telling someone that they are transitioning into end-of-life care or that they're getting a really life-changing diagnosis. And that is really, I don't think that is ever going to be something that I find easy. And maybe there's part of me that thinks that that's not a bad thing, because I think if I ever did find that easy, then maybe that would mean that I didn't actually care enough anymore. So I think I always, I feel privileged often to give that news to people. Often people prefer to have that news from me because they've built up quite a long relationship with me. But it's definitely not an easy job. And I think that most of the time I have to just focus very, very hard on the person in front of me, and making sure that I'm putting their feelings, well ahead of my own. I think one of the other challenges that we have with the transfer of emotion is that, sometimes our patients are very frustrated or annoyed at themselves. So perhaps we're navigating a journey with an eating disorder or maybe with an addiction of some type. And that can be, that can feel difficult and frustrating for everyone involved, because it can be a journey where there seems to be progress and then we can just seem to slide back very quickly. And I think that can be challenging both for the doctor and the patient, not to lose heart and feel that you're losing sight of the progress that you have made. But I think I'm quite good at always being able to bring someone back to see where they were, how far we've come, and that all of the journey, there's been lessons learned, and that we just have to keep pointing forward. So I think that's something that I try to work really hard on. So one of the other things that I always try to keep in mind is whenever there's lots of emotion in a situation, is that sometimes people don't actually need you to give them a solution. Sometimes they actually just need to feel heard, to be able to come into a safe space and feel like they can be really, really angry or really sad or really upset or really deflated, and not have someone tell them, oh, don't be silly, or you're being over the top, or you're being out of proportion. I think that it's something that we probably all could work on, to allow our friends or family or children, I think, is another big one. Sometimes that we're not very comfortable when they've got big emotions. If they're, if your child's really angry because, you won't let them on their iPad before dinner, we often, our first response is to tell them that their feeling is wrong and that it's out of proportion to, the apparent crime that you've committed by not allowing them to be on their iPad. But maybe that message is just telling them that actually their emotions aren't valid and that they should always suppress their emotions. And so I think that the one thing I would say I've learned from my job, and I think that you could take into your life, is that to be comfortable to sit with emotions, not always try and come up with a solution for the person, and let it be okay for the person to be really sad or really upset, and not to put a time frame on that person's feelings. Because if they need to feel sad, for X number of days, weeks, hours, whatever it happens to be, then that's okay, because maybe they've just lost somebody or something really profound has happened in their life. So I hope that helps, that you can maybe get a little bit more comfortable sitting with emotion, not only of your own, but with the people around you.
This podcast and any information, advice, opinions, or statements within it do not constitute medical, healthcare, or other professional advice. Information is provided for educational and entertainment purposes only. If you have any health concerns, always consult your doctor.